Why less is more in productivity? What is the greatest obstacle to any product, system, or a task? Which direction to take to avoid overthinking, overplanning, or sabotaging your work? Get the best tips and cut the clutter and just start getting things done. And today we'll share our simplest tips, right, Magda?
Yes, today's episode will be about simplicity and different aspects of simplicity because Michael sees simplicity from one point, and for me, simplicity is something a little bit else. But I think it will be really nice to see the both perspectives because both of them lead to the same point that uh, less is better, and yeah, that simplicity is a pillar, like the core of productivity.
Less is more.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so generally, people think that productivity is doing more and faster and better, and
More, more,
but
more, more.
yeah, and yeah, to be more tired, more busy, and everything more. But as a matter of fact, of course, productivity is doing less, more intentionally, smarter. And I think like the way is that everyone should be aware what they want to do and concentrate on it. I think we were talking about it in the last episode that you can't say that you are distracted if you don't know what you want to focus on and if you don't prepare like the way, the path to this.
Hmm.
So yeah, and I think this is the place where also the essentialism. I think this is one of your favorite books that probably is totally ruined because you keep reading it over and over again every
Yeah.
year. I think this is the place where we could also mention about it.
Yeah, so Essentialism by Greg McKeown, who I was happy to even interview many, many years ago. Um, Essentialism says less but better, right? And the thing is, I mean, I think today we will be, apart from talking about simplicity in the aspect of productivity, today we will be recommending lots of good books to read. So stay tuned, listen, and we'll put them also in the show notes. And Essentialism is one of my favorite books about this because it explores this idea that the more you want to achieve, the you know, I mean, you become successful, and then you want to achieve more and more and more, and then the more you start to achieving, start to you want to try to achieve, you are starting to fail because it's just too much, and you get distracted, and you kind of forgot what brought you here. You know, what was your main thing, and in essentialism, you have to focus on what's your biggest contribution, what's your biggest impact, what to do. Today on the Polish podcast, we were interviewing Marek Jankowski, and the cool thing was that he said that um, it's very easy to get distracted when building systems and building things, um, instead of focusing what's really like what I want to do, what I want to accomplish today. What's the thing that I have to do to move stuff forward.
Yeah. Yeah, and from essentialism is probably very close to minimalism, right? It's kind of very related terms, and I'm a big fan of minimalism. I think my minimalistic approach started when I moved from Poland to France, and together with my partner and our kid and our cat, for creatures, we managed to pack ourselves into one normal car, not a minibus or minivan or anything,
Mhm.
just a regular car, not the American one, the huge one, really small one.
Not a U-Haul, like a big
Yeah.
one with, yeah. Mhm.
And that was the point when I realized that this is so cool to be able to pack your whole life to the car. And and yeah, since then I'm trying to keep everything minimalistic. My flat, my home office, my wardrobe, everything. I don't, even though I love reading books, I don't have any books because I just go to library to get them. And yeah, whenever I get a new piece of clothing, I get rid of one old because I just don't want clutter, because
Mhm.
it exhausts me and it overwhelms me. And that's the physical minimalism, but we also should focus on like the psychological minimalism. When we are working, we
Mhm.
don't have to do many things at a time. That's very important. And yeah, and at work it's also less but more. When you are doing more things and you are multitasking and you are taking too many things on your plate, then you are impairing your cognitive abilities and your cognitive function. There are all the research that showing that when you are doing even two things at a time, your cognitive function is just impaired. So just focus one thing at a time, not too much noise, not too much, like extra things. Just pick one task and do it. This is the whole secret.
Completely. And so another book that I would recommend is the book which perfectly describes what you just said. The book is called The One Thing. and and I mean, the book is really good, but the most important thing from this book that you could take away, if you want to just do it very quickly, is the focusing question. So every day you should ask yourself, what is this one thing that if I do it today, now, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? So, what is, what you, if there is a singular task that would make impact on my future tasks, on my future me, on my future business, um, and I whenever, like, in my, I have this journaling script, journaling shortcut. When I journal, I always ask myself this question every morning, and it's really, it helps me, stay sharp. Like, it helps me realize that even though I'm a busy man with, with a team to lead, with an app to develop and all that stuff, and yes, I have all these tasks and I have them all in Nozbe, um, but I have to always figure out what's the one thing today, like what's important today. Like, for example, for today, for Wednesday, when we record two podcasts, the Polish podcast in the morning, and today, and now the English podcast, this is my one thing. Everything else is a bonus. I have to be prepared and be ready to record these two podcasts. And that's the most important thing, because from this podcast, everything else starts, when we prepare the audio version of this podcast, when we prepare a promotion newsletter for our Nozbe users, all that stuff. It starts with this thing. And I have to be ready, be prepared, and not fail today, so that everything else can be easier or unnecessary. I mean, and in my case, easier for everyone else on my team, to make sure that we can, keep promoting this content, keep promoting productivity, keep promoting Nozbe.
Yeah. And can you tell us something more about that book? I've always wanted to read it, but like I didn't have a chance. Is it does he give the tips how to do this, or does he says
Yeah,
what's happening once you pick this one thing?
yeah. So, okay, so I'll give you a third book, the recommendation, and I will explain why they are
Oh no.
compact. Sorry. So the third book that I would recommend is by Cal Newport, Deep Work. Right. And also, this is another, important book, because it helps you. It helps you, work in deep work, so that you are focused, as we talked about it. You're not distracted. And both books, The One Thing and Deep Work, from different angles, not only explain this very simple idea. Yeah, you have to work deeper, or you have to just do one thing, but they also help you get to the context, like help you, you know because for most people right now, with so much social media, so many interactions, it's hard to get to this moment where you can do your one thing, or when you can be in the state of deep work. And that's why these books, that's why they are books, even though, just from the title or from the focusing question, you could say, well, I know what it's all about, but it's not. Because very often people who are busy, they need to be primed They have to realize, okay, so I have to stop doing that. Okay, so maybe I should delete social media from my phone. Okay, so maybe I should, put do not disturb sometimes, or all these, tips and tricks that we know that So for you, these books, I don't think they would be so useful because yeah, being here in Nozbe so many years, you've nailed all these things. But uh, for many people, this is kind of they need the whole recipe, not just the question, but just how to get there, how to have even the time in the morning to ask the question. It's like that's why all these three books, the Essentialism, One Thing, and Deep Work, are kind of my favorite trio of productivity for now.
Mm. Okay, yeah, because also sometimes people will think that maybe if something is too simple, it won't be valuable or it will be too shallow. And it's not that. It means that deep work truly matters.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, just look at people who are successful. Very often, the most successful people are just doing one thing. They're doing a niche product, but because they're working on this niche product in a focused way, like think about one of my favorite companies recently, Dyson. Dyson started just with the vacuum cleaner, like with this handheld vacuum cleaner, and it was their one thing. They started with that. Now they have variety of products, and they now I had to buy this, hair thingy for my girls because they wouldn't,
You have to.
I had to. They
Tell
were
them
like,
you are minimalistic and they should be using the vacuum cleaner for their hair.
yeah,
I'm
that's
sure it
true.
will do the job.
Exactly. So anyway, the Dyson, it was their one thing. They started with that. How to make sure that you can, vacuum at full 100% power until the battery dies. So and it was a big thing. So uh, even these companies started with one core product, one core thing, and it's the same for us. Like we've been doing Nozbe for 18 years. Like uh, I have so many ideas. I'm an entrepreneur. I have so many ideas of cool things I would want to explore or do, and sometimes I just write them down. Um, but uh, sometimes, but the thing is that uh, I know that our simple task manager of Nozbe that just helps busy professionals get their life organized and their team organized. There's so much more to do there to keep making it simple, keep making it effective, but just making it better for everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. We can say that this simplicity and this focus can be the goal itself, right? Because,
Mhm.
yeah, that can be one of our goals to keep it simple. And not only Nozbe, but also our lives and the way we work. Recently, I've been listening to a podcast by Greg McKeown that you
I,
recommended,
yes.
and I found one of the first episodes when he interviewed David Allen. So they were like the two
Ah,
gurus,
cool.
Greg McKeown from Essentialism and then David Allen from GTD methodology. And that was really valuable yeah, podcast. And what was nice, Greg asked David, how would you know that GTD is working, when you can say that someone succeeded in following your methodology? And he said that probably when he or she will be able to stay focused on one thing, on, let's say, on our conversation now, not do something else, not to type secretly something or not to change, just now be here and be focused. The same with the conversation with your friend, when you are not thinking, oh, maybe I forgot something, maybe I have to call my client. No, if your system works, you are able to be there and just do one thing at a time, because you know that all the rest is in your system, in your trusted system, which should be pretty simple. But also, there was one moment when Greg asked David, "Okay, but we speak about simplicity, and you tell me not to have too many things on my plate. But then, how many projects do you have?" And David says, "I have many projects. People usually have something between 30 and 100 projects." And then, well, okay, this is not as little. It's
Yeah.
pretty. a lot of them. And he said, yes, but these are things that you are not doing. You are doing one thing. And how many things you are not doing, it doesn't matter. They are safe there in your system, but you are focusing on one thing because you can, because you know that the rest is waiting there nicely, neatly arranged, with deadlines, with tags, with context, with comments, with all the instructions and really nice plan. So yeah, it's as usually my dog because this is the time when someone enters the flat.
All right. So eh, that's totally true. And David Allen always explains that when you do a weekly review, you kind of have this thinking session with yourself. You mentally prepare for next week, and you know what to execute next week. You know what to do next week. And I think I've always held that valuable. And um, uh, I for whenever I don't do a good weekly review on a Friday, then my priority list is for next week is like 15, 20 items. If I do a good weekly review, my priority list during the week never exceeds 5, 7 items. It's just because I know exactly what I have to do. There are just a few things every day, and that's it. Everything else is planned and is taken care of. So it's always like this, that this idea that you finish up your week with the weekly review, you think, then you prepare stuff to execute next week, and you know that next week, next Friday, you will think again. You will do the weekly review
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, that's yeah. So yeah, this we need to have a system that itself is simple, and we shouldn't try to complicate it. I think we will move on to the thing where people want and they think they need to complicate things, but yeah, we'll move on to it.
That,
Now
that-
we
that's
can.
my
Hmm?
Yeah, that's my main problem with many entrepreneurs who have tried Nozbe, for example, but they decided to, before they even try Nozbe, they're like, yeah, I need a tool to do this, and that, and they give you a list of things that they think they need. And as our guest from the morning podcast said, no, you need a system that helps you execute. You need a system that helps you get things done. And I always, in the 18 years, I've always been repeating that Nozbe, for example, is not a task manager. It's a task doer. Like, you are doing tasks. It's made to do tasks and not to manage them. If you want to manage tasks and have lots of management features, go somewhere else. Nozbe is not for that. Nozbe is to help you simply execute what you have to do.
Yeah, yeah. Talking about simplicity, I think it's really important to start from the beginning. And if the beginning is hard, then the rest probably will be hard as well. So what I mean is the barrier of entry. I think you
Yes.
like this topic, especially when running or when doing complicated or things that we don't really feel like doing.
I mean, if you can simplify things, that doing something doesn't require you much thinking. So, because the problem with human beings is that we are very smart. We can talk ourselves out of everything, basically. So if I want to, if I know I should be running right now, I should go for a run after this
Mhm.
podcast, let's say. Um, then I'm like, after the podcast is recorded, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of tired. The podcast was exhausting. um and then my shoes are there, but then, are my clothes ready? I know, I'm not sure if I have my favorite shirt. And then you just start talking yourself out of it. But if you put your clothing right there, and if you put your shoes right there, it's like, oh, like you stumble upon it basically on your way out of your office. You're gonna be like, okay, it's here, I'm gonna put it on, I'm just gonna go for a run. So, like, you make it, as simple as you can, as simple as you can, just to be able to execute. And it was the same from the very beginning of Nozbe. When I built Nozbe in the very beginning, I remember I tried several other tools. I was trying Microsoft Outlook. I was trying some open source tools. And I remember, for me, the annoying part was, I was like, I wanted to add a task, and it asked me to fill out a form. And I was like, form. I want to add a task. Come on, people. Like make it simple for me. I want to add a task and just be done with it. So it was one of the things, and it's still there. If you try the Nozbe Classic or the new Nozbe now, it's the same thing. If you hit plus in Nozbe, you write down the name of the task and you hit enter and it's done. The task is there. Yes, you can add parameters. Yes, you can add comments. Yes, you can do many things later if you want to. But to add a task to Nozbe, it doesn't get more simple than that. So for me, this is simplicity. This is lowering the barrier of entry, and this is helping, as you said, stay focused. Right, just right now. Let's say we are having this conversation, and my mind suddenly freaks out and remembers something important. I can basically write it down very quickly, hit enter, and just continue with our conversation without knowing that I have it in my trusted system. I don't have to now go and search and whatever. I can just add it right now. And this is fundamental that it just works like this.
Yeah. Like I have nothing to add. It's so obvious that your task manager, the application that you use for your productivity shouldn't make things harder or more complicated. It should just lead you to your goal. And if you have so many features and you are just, you know, overwhelmed with the number and with the complexity, it doesn't make any sense. You want just to work, and you want to move forward and not be burdened under where was this feature, what can I do here, and oh, there's something interesting, maybe I can use it, oh, maybe I will create this special thing for this special thing, and I will add a tag, and I will make a pink color and this icon, and I don't know, it just drives you away from the main thing, the fact that you want to get the task done.
And so spoiler alert, next in 2 weeks we will have a great guest on this podcast. One of my favorite podcasters, Jeff Sanders, will be here, so I can't wait to listen to him talk how he works, because he's like this kind of solopreneur, a podcaster extraordinaire. He's amazing, and he loves Nozbe, which is good. but today, by talking to our guest, to Marek, we really listened how he said that he moved from a much complicated tool than because he wasn't using Nozbe. He was using Nozbe before. Then he switched to a more complicated tool because he wanted to manage his business, in a more complicated way, more advanced way. And then after that, he went to our new Nozbe because that other tool was just too much. There were just too many features, too many bells and whistles, too many things that distracted him from actually doing the work. And our system of projects, tasks, and comments, it's so simple, and all these things have advanced features and all that stuff, but it's just so simple that it just helps him to make sure that, okay, if I'm doing a new podcast, it's in my podcast project, and every podcast episode is just one task, and in this task everything is happening. I just when I record a podcast, I drop the file there and then delegate the task to my assistant, and then everything else flows from there. There are checklists added and all that stuff, and everything just goes. And it's just so easy. It's the same what we do here on this podcast, that we have a template for that. So we create a new project from this template, and then we just keep executing one thing at a time.
Yeah. In general, like fewer options reduce our decision fatigue, and reduces the whole thing of, I don't know, the concentration, and it helps us work. Actually, this is a feature, not a problem. That it's something is simple. Also, talking about people to whom we talk and who likes Nozbe for its simplicity, there's one consultant and like the business coach who always recommends Nozbe to his clients and trainees. He said a really nice thing, that people want simplicity. Your employees want simplicity. Okay, if you are a manager and you are totally tech savvy and you love adding those tags and doing procedures and looking for chain tasks and okay, you can do it. But for your employees. Just give them on a plate what needs to be done, when, by whom, and let them work. Don't overwhelm them with some extra features and asking them to add some extra things, because that's not what they want. And you are paying them for working and not for managing everything.
Yeah, and funny you should say that. I think we can run a clip of him saying that. So we'll do it right now. And after the break, I have cool stories about, how we actually thought we're doing something simple, but our customers reminded us how to make it simple. And also some crusades I was running all these 18 years of doing Nozbe. So stay tuned after listening to this guy.
Hi, I'm Blaise Gorai. I'm a trainer and consultant, and I help the teams working more efficiently, applying project management techniques. Nozbe is right now my go-to tool whenever I start working with a new team who is asking me to improve their productivity and to make sure their tasks are delivered on time. The reason why I have chosen Nozbe is the fact that it is simple and easy to start. In many cases, in an organization, the decision maker, the leader, is with a high level of understanding, and those people actually have a tendency to pick up more sophisticated tools. And then there is this problem that there is imbalance between the decision maker who wants to have the more sophisticated tool and the people from the team who want to have something easy, something simple. So I think Nozbe helps out to put this into the balance, and we can build the working environment like from the building bricks. You build it step by step. And I saw in past months many successful implementations based on the fact that we just implemented Nozbe, spent the time to agree how to use it, and we wrote down the key rules and decisions upon that.
All right.
Yeah. And there is a nice quote that simple processes make smart people faster and complex ones slow everyone down. So let's keep it
Exactly.
simple.
Exactly. So one of the things that I've been fighting all my business life running Nozbe was the fact that many people demanded sub projects. They were like, "Yeah, but I have this project, and I want to have sub projects, and I want to have sub projects, and then sub projects from that." And I was like, "Yeah, that looks beautiful." And then they were like, "Yeah, and Michael, why don't you implement it? It's so easy, and then other tools have it. Why Nozbe doesn't have it?" And I had to explain to them, it's a choice. We made a choice that I prefer, and we prefer, and many thousands of our customers prefer simple, flat list of projects. That this way, because a nice structure, you can build a nice structure, but it's not sustainable. You cannot keep executing while having such a structure. It's like the same comparison that some people do prefer to have folders, subfolders, subfolders, and subfolders. We know people like this, Pavel, from our team. So recently, I was arguing with Pavel from our team, saying, stop creating so many projects, so many folders, and 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 what we did is we made sure that we have projects, tasks, and comments. And in the task list, yes, for example, we did introduce sections in projects to make sure that you can have the visual divide between groups of tasks and everything, and you can use it for many cool purposes. But
yeah,
it's
I
still
just wanted to ask, why did you give up? And because sections are almost sub projects, they are actually sub projects.
But I didn't give up anything. For me, the idea was to make sure that it's flat, so that the structure is still the same, and it's not like it's not a tree, because in a tree you get lost. But if it's a flat structure, then it's really easy and transparent. You can just scroll, and as we know from our mobile phone habits, scrolling is like falling. Like you just scroll to get to places. So that's why. And we saw it ourselves that when we were using Nozbe Classic, which doesn't have project sections. In Nozbe Classic, we were building project sections by just adding empty tasks. So when we saw that we are hacking our own system, we realized, yeah, we need like visual, cues. And I what I didn't appreciate, and now I appreciate more with the new Nozbe, is that people like visual cues, like visually to quickly know what's going on. It's like our project, when we have this project where you have demos. So nozbe.com/demo, you want to, Magda will help you out if you want a demo of Nozbe and how to implement Nozbe in your team or for yourself. Schedule a call with Magda. Anyway, so we have a project for this, and in the same project we have Magda's demos, and we have my conversations with my customers, and we have all that in different sections.
And we have coming conversations and the conversation that are still awaiting the follow-up or that are in progress.
Yeah.
So
It's
these are
really
like the
helpful.
stages or aspects or just parts of the project.
Exactly. So, and this way, when I open this project, I can quickly, focus on the part of the project that is interesting to me right now, and I don't have to search for the Magda project of the upcoming meetings, other Magda project of meetings that have been concluded, another project, I don't have to go clicking and, searching. I have it all at a glance. So it's really easy. And I can see how many, new demos you have, by just looking, at the number of tasks. So it's really, really easy for me. And another thing that we gave up, we didn't give up, but we were fighting, and we fought this fight, is subtasks. So another cool idea that, I have a task, and then I have subtasks and a subtasks and a subtasks of a subtask. Again, similar idea. People want to have more structure. So what we did is we introduced checklists in the tasks, and checklists are very simple because they're just checklists. You cannot fiddle with checklists. You cannot add features to checklists. You cannot add additional dates to checklists, or additional, you cannot play with it too much. The idea is this: there is a task to be done. Yes, the task is pretty complex, so break it down to small, items that can be checked off, but it's still a task with a checklist, and not a task with a subtask and everything. So it's always, our focus has always been on executing, on doing tasks, and enabling our users, our customers, to do tasks, and not on fiddling with tasks, managing tasks, and all the management, ideas.
Yeah, that's true. When I'm talking to the new, like the possible potential customers and Nozbe users, there are often people who, as you mentioned, they come and they say, okay, I need this and this and this. I checked other tools and they have those. And here is the list of expected features. And then I'm thinking, like, why would you need all of that?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know this is unfair for me to think so, because we've been working in Nozbe in a very simple structure, and it's easy for me to be able to imagine a complex work of a pretty big team of, at the time we were like almost 30 of us, and we were doing well. We project tasks and comments were totally enough for us. So I always feel like, oh, if only you wanted to try to forget your expectations and just give me a chance to show you how you can go with projects, tasks, and comments. But some people are really so much into those complex tools, and yeah, some are really
But the cool thing is that
hard to explain.
what we have seen in your demos with customers, again, nozbe.com/demo, when you are doing the demos, sometimes they come around. Sometimes they see how they're like, but I want to do this, and then you show them how it can be easily done in Nozbe, and I want to do that, and you show them again, and they're like, that's actually not that complicated. So they come around sometimes.
That's true. But some people really think that this complicated structure will help them, and that if they do some kind of really complex management and administration, it will be helpful. I don't know where does it stem from. Maybe people are afraid. Maybe this is just looking for, excuses and to keep procrastinating instead of just getting things done and doing tasks.
Yeah, exactly. On the other hand, I remember, like, like a few years ago, we were kind of soul searching, what to do, because there is like increased competition in the project management space, time management space. There are like many cool tools, as we mentioned, that even some people were using before switching to Nozbe. And I was whenever I was talking to these customers who switched from these complicated tools like Asana, ClickUp, all these guys, Monday, and they switched to Nozbe, and I asked them, but you tried these better tools because they have so many cool features. Why did you switch back to Nozbe? And they said one thing: simplicity. They were just overwhelmed. They said, we thought we needed that, but we realized we spent more time fiddling with the tool than actually getting stuff done, moving our business forward. And also onboarding new people. Like in Nozbe, it's just so easy. You add somebody to the team, they basically are already automatically added to most of projects. And then some projects you have to just give them access, but usually it's just automatic. And then you can delegate tasks to them, and they start doing the tasks, and they start doing the adding comments, and they're like, oh, this is so easy. You can mention people, whatever. So they very quickly get the idea. And for them, they said when they had these complex tools, onboarding anyone, it was like, it would require several sessions, several meetings, and the people were still, they had objections.
Yeah. And probably very often it's like that they have this very complicated tool, but they end up using only 3 or 4 features because that's
Exactly.
enough, and the rest is just a waste of time.
Exactly. That's why, for example, in our interface, we try to hide many advanced features. I mean, not hide completely, but like put them away so that they are not in your face. You discover them by using the app. You discover them later. Of course, you discover them if you check our nozbe.help help page as well. We have good tutorials and videos, but basically, you should focus on what's most important, to get things done. And I think I remember when I talked to these customers, I remember I was like, yeah, like I mean, I always, it's like sometimes, I knew I believed in the simplicity, but at that time, because there were these other competitors, I was kind of confused if my insistence on simplicity still makes sense. It's still relevant, And then I realized all these customers coming back from these big applications to Nozbe, and I realized, yeah, it's not that I'm so weird. It only works for me. I know that simplicity, the lowering barrier of entry, making sure that the system is quickly glanceable, understandable, and actionable. It's timeless. These are timeless features. These are timeless ideas, and we must, I think, every now and then remind ourselves that these ideas are really important, and they are the ones that have moved us forward, and they will keep us moving forward.
Yeah. And that productivity is about what we do, and and about what we choose not to do, and just this focus and keeping it straight and simple.
Do you want a basketball reference?
Of course, give it to me.
So let's wrap it up with a basketball reference. So I'm a big fan of this team, NBA team. I'm still following NBA for some reason. Now, I used to be a very big NBA fan when I was a young boy, but I'm still kind of still watching basketball and stuff. And one of my favorite teams is Golden State Warriors. And they just they have a superstar, Stephen Curry. The guy is amazing. He's shooting three pointers from like mid-court, whatever. Like, he's amazing. And they just got a new superstar from a different team called Jimmy Butler. And people were saying, this must be a clash of two superstars, because they got a new superstar. What's going to happen? And they asked Jimmy, what he thinks about his new role in this new team. And he said, my role is very simple: give the ball to Steph Curry and get out of the way. So or make way for him, so that he can just shoot. And this is what he's been doing, and they've been winning the last 15 games or 16 games because of that, because he was just giving him the ball and staying out of the way, or just creating more space for Steph to execute, to
That's
shoot.
true. It's a little bit similar with our football player, soccer player, Lewandowski. He does the best job when he's just standing next to the goal and waiting for the pass just to score. If he's starting to do something else, when he starts to fight for the ball or maybe do some dribbling, then he fails. But when he's standing there with any part of his body prepared to get to shoot, then it's always working.
Yeah, whenever he gets the ball in the right spot, he gets a goal out of nothing, like very easily, and that's his superpower. And that's exactly our idea for Nozbe. Nozbe should be out of your way. You shouldn't be fiddling with Nozbe. You should be adding your tasks and Nozbe out of your way.
Yeah, it should be the facilitator, not
exactly. Because in our case, what means is your work. Like, you are using Nozbe to do your work. You're not using Nozbe to be using Nozbe. You are using Nozbe to do your work, to move your business forward, to get yourself organized, to get your team organized, to get your communication in order. This is what you use Nozbe for, and Nozbe should be out of the way. And that's why also one of the main ideas of simplicity was to make sure that on the phone, on the smartphone, you have the same Nozbe. It's not like a worse version of an application. It's the same Nozbe that is still all powerful. So
yeah, this is my trick when I'm doing the consultations and people ask me, because I'm doing that on a computer. Okay, and so what about the mobile application? Is it much different? Then what I do, because I'm sharing my screen, I just make the Nozbe view. I just make it narrow. And I say, that's how it looks like. Exactly the same, just narrow.
That's a good trick.
Okay. So yeah, simplicity.
Yeah. And one of our core values is simplicity in our team, and it's been a guiding force for us. And now more than ever, I think people need simplicity to be able to execute and get stuff done. So if you're on the same boat, if you need simplicity, try out Nozbe and let us know what you think. And if you have any questions or any doubts about it, or you have a system that's too complex for you, schedule a demo with Magda, nozbe.com/demo, and talk to Magda. She will do a great demo for you. And if you want to sign up, you can get a bonus, which would give you 3 months of Nozbe for free, up to 3 months of Nozbe for free. So make sure to check it out. And stay tuned for a next episode with a great guest in 2 weeks.
Jeff Sanders.
Yeah. Thanks, Magda, for this.
Thanks. See you,
Thank
everyone.
you for being an amazing listener of the No Office podcast. Every other Wednesday, we meet to talk about productivity and hybrid lifestyle, because we believe that work is not a place to go. It's a thing to do. As a special gift only to No Office podcast listeners, when you sign up for Nozbe using this link, nozbe.com/podcast, you'll get $30 of credits, which you can use to upgrade to Nozbe Premium. Nozbe helps thousands of smart business owners and their teams get their professional and private life organized in a single app in a simple way. And Nozbe is free for up to 3 active projects and 3 people on your team. So start today and claim your free bonus credits, which you will later need to upgrade to unlimited projects. Once again, thank you for being an amazing listener. Thanks for your support and for spreading the word about our No Office podcast and Nozbe. See you and hear you in the next episode, and in the meantime, claim your bonus credits here.